Mike Gundy likened backup quarterback Garret Rangel coming in for Alan Bowman as a middle reliever that was kind of just coming in to reset the game. And it kind of worked. So we kind of liked it. So can we kind of see some more of it again, please?
You are Locked On Oklahoma State, your daily podcast on the Oklahoma State Cowboys, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Howdy, y'all, and hello, all. Welcome back to Locked On Oklahoma State, your daily stop for all things Cowboy and Cowgirl related. My name is Cody Stovall. I want to thank you kindly for stopping by to make this your first listen. We're available on all of your podcasting platforms, visually as well on YouTube. Find me personally on X at AllDayOState. Today, we're partially brought to you by FanDuel. Make every moment matter more. Get in on the action today with FanDuel by placing a $5 bet that'll get you started with $200 back in bonus bets guaranteed. Visit FanDuel.com to get started today. Meanwhile, we get started in the conversation of course, Cowboy football, but more importantly, the conversation that Mike Gundy had in his post-game press conference when asked about the deal with Garret Rangel and Alan Bowman. Now, obviously, Garret Rangel would have wished it had gone better, so would the team, or they wouldn't have put him in the game, but it did not. Therefore, it kind of equaled him being a middle reliever in baseball to kind of reset the game and get everybody back to an even playing field. Well, realistically, at the end of the day, it did in fact happen. Of course, they went from cover 1 to cover 3 cloud look in the last 5 minutes of the game, but nonetheless, we're still able to see at least a better version of Alan Bowman. So if the middle reliever role kind of worked to reset the game for Alan Bowman with Garret Rangel coming in, then why wouldn't it work other places? Well, from the tight end perspective, it seems as though it has worked because Tyler Foster coming in from Ohio was averaging under 9 yards per completion, and Josh Ford's averaging almost 9.4 yards per completion, so he's in the game. Then you have a wide receiver, Rashad Owens, averaging 16 yards per reception. Meanwhile, Talyn Shettron's averaging over 24 yards per reception, so we're seeing him more and more in the game. I think we have noticed now that Talyn Shettron does bring a little bit of a different layer to the offense than Rashad Owens. Once again, we're not getting a whole lot of this Talladega Nights 4-wide style of situation. So why are we keep beating our head up against the wall? Why are we allowing our Doak Walker Award winner, who is going to potentially be a Heisman style of guy, why are we allowing him to rush for 3.3 yards per carry? I understand that the offensive line has been completely inept, but I also understand that the patience and the vision that Ollie Gordon used to have, he's not utilizing anymore. So if the great reset could work for potentially Tyler Foster, just like it could work for potentially Alan Bowman, then why could it not potentially work for Ollie Gordon? We haven't really seen a whole lot of Trent Allen, but Trent Allen is producing 4.6 yards per carry as opposed to 3.3. We've seen Sessi Vaialahi, and I think Sessi is going to be a very integral part of the Cowboy running back room moving forward. But if the dude that you expect to bust up 170, 150, 180-ish yards in any given game is getting 41 yards, 49 yards, 45 yards, then eventually I would assume that we would need to do something, at least for an inspiration reason. Guys, I know that, everybody wasn't really too concerned about Ollie the first few games of the season because he wasn't the starter the first few games of last season. But maybe that's the point. Maybe Ollie Gordon was having to fight for his job, and that was partially what made him so successful, is he knew in those first 3 games it was an audition. It was an audition that he wasn't exactly winning. So he had to find a way to win the audition live on the field, and it took a few weeks before he started to get going. And now this year, the first few weeks, kind of the same thing. But it's okay. It's still Ollie flipping Gordon. Yet here we are. We're running into the same issue, which is him running into the same offensive lineman, which brings me to my next point. I understand we do a lot of rotation, or at least we were doing some rotation with Isaiah Glass and Dalton Cooper alongside Jake Springfield. Then Jake Springfield has an injury, and we leave Isaiah Glass and Dalton Cooper kind of out on an island all by themselves. And I don't think the tackles are doing all that bad. But I do think that the guards are continuing to not produce enough. We are not getting to the second level. We've had this conversation, unfortunately, now for weeks, and we're still not getting to the second level. So if the starting 5 offensive linemen are incapable of opening up lanes for Ollie Gordon, Trent Howland, Sesi Vailahi, it doesn't matter. Then why are we not seeing some more of a push from the other guys? We know that Noah McKinney has a lot of big boy college football experience that he's brought forth. Why not give him more opportunities? We did see him in the game. I think a large portion of it was due to the rotational stuff and the weather. But I don't even necessarily think that's 100% accurate because the offense wasn't on the field enough to do anything, to get tired enough to need to have any substitutions brought in. But if it could potentially work for maybe Alan Bowman, then why could it potentially not work for Cole Birmingham or Preston Wilson or Ollie Gordon? I mean, Rashad Owens, unfortunately, being in a possession style of role, every single drop is much bigger than somebody who can take the top off of the defense or do a lot of crazy stuff. Not disrespectful to Rashad. The reason Rashad was always the number 2 was because he had a propensity to drop a lot of open passes in practice. We've seen him drop a decent amount in games, but it appears as though throughout the course of the spring and the fall, he'd rectified that issue. Maybe not so much, or maybe not enough to hold off somebody who's clearly pushing him and right now surpassing him. Speaking of people surpassing him and us not doing the Talladega 4 wide thing, if the BP thing continues to be problematic, it doesn't appear as though DeJuan Lofton's going to be ready to rock and roll. So that means Gavin Freeman's going to take on a much bigger role. But why are we playing Io Shotomite King if we're not even going to throw him the ball? We have a 6'5", 220-pound wide receiver. We do put it out on the field quite often, but I don't recall if he's ever gotten more than one target this season. If he has, please let me know down in the comments section. But again, we're talking about the great reset that happened for Alan Bowman out of Mike Gundy's mouth. So it leads me to believe that at least he's exploring the idea, or he's at least planting the seed to the coaches to explore the idea that if your starters cannot get it done, or they won't get it done, or they're incapable of getting it done, or they don't care enough to do the extra work to get it done, put in the dudes who will, even if they're not as good. Because Parker Robertson has come from a walk-on to a special team savant to now getting very good, meaningful minutes as a safety and being very, very, very productive. So when he comes in to spell Trey Rucker, there's not seemingly a big drop-off. He can produce. We know that Justin Wright was likely going to be the main character as an outside linebacker role this season, but the injury kind of, forced us to maneuver some things, and it did create a little bit newer of a position for Kendall Daniels. And this last game for Kendall Daniels was pretty good. But at corner, like Corey Black's supposed to be the dude. He's been here for like 4.5 years, but he's not the dude. Or at least thus far, he doesn't seem to be the dude. Brian Nardo's defense looked much better. I don't know that we needed a great reset, right? We definitely didn't need to lose Colin Oliver, but Obi Ezeigbo has been able to fill in not only admirably, but it's not like we're missing a massive chunk at that one particular area. So if it can work for one area, and you can liken it to a middle reliever in baseball, I think that's a good call. It's a good move. Sometimes you just need a reset. Maybe we need to reset Ollie Gordon because he was competing for his job last season until around this time. And even then, maybe he knew that if he went back into the doldrums again, that the other guys were going to start getting more carries. Maybe he got too cushy with his job. And maybe part of it is because of the exorbitant amount of money that the NIL Collective and fans alike were able to put forth for Ollie Gordon and the offensive lineman and Alan Bowman and a multitude of other dudes to make another go of this season. Here we are. We're making another go, but it ain't going well. But you, on the other hand, can make life go much smoother, at least much quicker for yourself with 5-hour energy. If you need a pick-me-up, just getting the kids up to school or just getting off work or just getting home to do all the fun stuff and the chores, 5-hour energy might be the pick-me-up that you need in your life today. 5-hour energy carries a lot of the mystique of the best in the game for you getting in the zone. And we all know the Cowboys need to get in the zone for sure against Kansas State. So a 5-hour energy may give you the feeling of alertness and energy you need to get in the zone and stay in the zone. I can tell you, Oklahoma State fans need a lot of 5-hour energy, especially the 40,000 who left with the game still going on in the third and a half, fourth quarter before you're working out, right? You want to stay motivated in the gym, get your swole on, make a 5-hour energy part of your lifestyle and get the energy boost you need to get fit and lift everything in the gym. With zero sugar, it is a very convenient, portable size pick-me-up that you need to get stuff done. The 5-Hour Energy website has crazy flavors like watermelon, tropical burst, grape, berry, and there's flavors for everyone. You can try them all. Right now, you can build your own 12-pack or 24-pack. You choose the flavors, and the deliciousness is delivered straight to your door. Make sure that you go to 5hourenergy.com. That's the number 5hourenergy.com and get some 5-Hour Energy product today. Make sure you use the code LOCKEDONCFB for 20% off your order. This offer is only valid through September 30th on one order and cannot be used with other promotions. The code is not good on subscription orders. But make sure you go to 5hourenergy.com today to get the pick-me-up you need to check out the Cowboys take on the Purple Power Kitties K-State. All right, so this NIL Collective thing, it didn't necessarily get started super pretty, partially because our fearless leader, Mike Gundy, was not necessarily a big fan of it. And you know what? I can't blame him for not being a big fan of it. I'm not a big fan of it. I do think it's changing college football in a way that is not necessarily always going to be viewed as a good thing. You look at the transfer market, that the craziness that it is, and numerically how many people get out of Power 5, Power 4 football and then don't find themselves back in Power 4 football. So there's a lot of craziness that goes on with it. But part of removing yourself from the craziness in the NIL, in the transfer market, is being able to retain your roster. Oklahoma State finally found a way to collectively, not only as a donor base, but also within the entire Stillwater community, the Oklahoma State community, everybody was willing to donate $5, $10, $100, all the way up to the buku dollar bills that the big donors have. But it was for a mission. It was for a reason. It was to keep Ollie Gordon away from Alabama, away from Mizzou, in Stillwater, Oklahoma. It was a way to lure all of these offensive linemen, who every single one of them could have graduated, and most of them have had multiple reconstructive level surgeries. This was their incentive. This was their insurance policy. Take this money. Let's make this run. We were able to make it applicable on the defensive side of the ball as well, because we know the SEC came hooting and hollering after Nick Martin. He turned him down, as did Colin Oliver, as did Kendall Daniels, even to some degree, I'm sure. But this is what's being put on display right now. And again, this is some soul searching for a multitude of individuals, both inside the locker room, inside the facilities, and the fan bases alike, because it's all about return on investment, right? So if you were part of the crowd that helped come up with whatever the number ends up being, $500,000, $800,000, 800,000, 750,000, 1 million, whatever the number may be. If you're part of that crew that came up with that money for Ollie Gordon, and then you're part of that crew that made sure that all of the offensive linemen, thankfully, partially due to Ollie Gordon, all got some extra incentives to make this return. And then you made sure to pay the defensive guys. Then you made sure to pay all of the coaches and give them all extensions and give them all raises. But where is the return on the investment? Because as it sits right now, any money that the offensive lineman got, any money that Ollie Gordon has received for extra stuff, may not exactly be worth it right now. I do think that Ollie deserved the money that he got because of the Doak Walker season and the 1,700 yards rushing. But let's put this in perspective. The next time that Oklahoma State is up in arms about keeping a dude, aren't we going to be a little bit more reluctant now because the last time we all pulled together to keep a dude, that dude and his O-lineman decided to cash it in on the season, or at least seemingly thus far. And I know this isn't going to be a super popular take, but you always hear nobody's going to listen unless you speak with your wallet, right? Whenever you're hearing about companies trying to be boycotted and all this fun jazz. I'm not saying anything needs to be boycotted, but what I am saying is if the fan base is going to chip in, and then this is the product we're going to receive, knowing that Kasey Dunn is a massive deficiency, that either Tim Rattay are terrible at their jobs and Charlie Dickey is terrible at his job, or it's because Kasey Dunn is so terrible at managing talent that everybody's terrible at their job. It doesn't really matter what it is, but as it sits right now, people should be more reluctant now to donate more money. Like next season, if Nick Martin wants money and he continues this clip, he's going to get it. He deserves it. I think the same can be said to some degree about Colin Oliver. If we could squeeze another year out of Trey Rucker with the way he's playing, that would be great. But in that part of the craziness here, Trey Rucker didn't get any extra NIL money. And the dude's playing like he's getting Ollie Gordon money. Ollie Gordon's getting Ollie Gordon money, and he's playing like he's getting less than Trent Howland money. Same with Cole Birmingham. Same with Preston Wilson. Isaiah Glass, love the dude, right? But he's been missing a decent number of blocks. I don't know that Jack and Dean is just automatically better, but maybe Jack and Dean's a little bit nastier. Maybe Dalton Cooper is just too nice of a dude to be a dominant left tackle. I don't know. Again, my issue isn't necessarily with the tackles, but Cole Birmingham and Preston Wilson have been very underwhelming. I mean, the whole offensive line has. So if there was a shakeup that would work, and it did work, then maybe the shakeup can also be applicable in the NIL department. I mean, I've seen some people asking for more donations today, Oklahoma State University people. And it's like the audacity to look at this current product and to look at Mike Gundy, knowing that he's likely not going to change anything with Kasey Dunn. Why is anybody asking anybody in the fan base for more money right now? Because, again, a lot of people felt more close to the program than ever before by being able to just chip in a little bit here and there. The QR codes, phenomenal idea. But right now, the only QR codes that you should be pushing around campus should be the only QR code that gets rid of Kasey Dunn. If there's going to be any sort of push for NIL, to me, it should be let's get the money back that we gave Ollie Gordon and the offensive line and give it to some of the dudes who are actually earning it at the moment. Again, Ollie deserves a significant chunk for what he was able to do last season. He deserves some money for staying. He deserves some money for being a great ambassador, but he doesn't deserve the amount of money he's getting. The O-linemen don't necessarily deserve any of the money they're getting, and we as a fan base certainly don't deserve to have our university asking us for even more money right now in the midst of this. We were able to speak with our wallets, and we were able to retain 20 returning starters. And those 20 returning starters are playing like they've already got a ticket to the CFP. Like, we just have to show up. And the dollar bills for NIL, they should freeze. I would question anybody's sanity that's currently giving more money with the status quo just continuing to be what it is. We don't need to get everything from Mike Gundy. We don't need to get everything from Oklahoma State athletics either. But we need to have slivers of hope. Ollie Gordon gave us that sliver of hope. So during the offseason and after the season was over, pulling money together, getting donors on board to make an epic run with Texas and OU being gone at a Big 12 title and a CFP shot, this was our opportunity. So everybody pulled together to scrape and claw enough money to keep everybody from a 10-win ball club that played for a Big 12 title to run it back. and we are not getting our money's worth. Nobody that donated a single solitary penny to the offensive side of the ball is getting their money's worth. Now, if you have donated to Trey Rucker, Nick Martin, Colin Oliver, congratulations. You're doing great in life, and we appreciate you. But stop asking us for money when you know the same deficiencies that we know, which is Kasey Dunn. And you know the same things that we know, and that Kasey Dunn's not going to be able to get it done because he hasn't been able to get it done yet, not one time. We've been hovering in the 47 to 60 range, or 47 to 65th range since Kasey Dunn's been here. And they're asking for more money? No. Nobody should give another penny unless it's to get rid of Kasey Dunn. Again, I'm sure it's going to be an unpopular opinion because I have already, kind of seen some of the messages that if you stopped at NIL, then that's not going to help the team. That's not going to help the season. Oh, how else do fans speak? It used to be you just stopped coming to games. Well, that's not going to happen. We just got a phenomenal game day tailgating scene in Stillwater within the last 12, 15-ish years. So we're not going to give up on that. But the QR codes would have been a hit. I guarantee you if Ollie Gordon was even averaging 80 a game or 4.1 yards a carry, the QR code would still be doing phenomenal. But rip the QR codes down. Stop pushing for NIL dollar bills until somebody within the football office can give us an explanation as to why Kasey Dunn still has a job, why he's not willing to take a demotion. If he's not willing to take a demotion, tell him to pack his bags. If Mike Gundy is going to be willing to even make phone calls on behalf of Oklahoma State to holler at a recruit here and there, then why would we just not pay him the money that we're paying Kasey Dunn to be the dude? I know you couldn't do it last year because there was some other things permeating out there in the news cycle that would have reflected negatively. But this is about winning ball games, all right? Your brother is available. Your guy, your DEI buddy, is not doing the job, so get rid of him pretty please. Yeah. That went well. That's about right. But we're not done. Before we skedaddle on off here, we do have to talk a little bit more about the Big 12, just like we also probably should talk a little bit more about the FanDuel capitalization season. Well, if you didn't know, you're about to know. FanDuel is the #1 sports book betting partner in America, and the reasons are endless. But the biggest one for you should simply be the fact that right now there's a big return with FanDuel, America's #1 sports book, right? We're looking for big returns. You can get a big return. If you get the idea in the middle of a game that I'm going to throw some money because I feel something coming, you can now check the latest stats, view the live play-by-play, and so much more on the same exact page where you place your bets. You will get started with $200 in bonus bets guaranteed when you place your first $5 bet. That is with FanDuel.com. Get your $200 back in bonus bets guaranteed with a $5 bet today by going to FanDuel.com. It's #1 in the country, and you need to get with it. All righty, ladies and gentlemen, we will make this third segment pretty quick here. So we got to talk about the Big 12 power rankings from my eyes here. So first of all, of course, Utah, you are #1. Iowa State put a thumping on somebody over the weekend, so they get to move up. UCF, they look good as a running ball club. They still look good as a running ball club. I liken them to the Colin Klein days of K-State where they could tell you over the huddle what play we're going to run and you still couldn't stop it. UCF's telling people they're going to run and nobody can still stop it. Speaking of BYU, you're making the jump to #4 in my power rankings, followed by Arizona. There's a big matchup this weekend. So that'll be interesting to see if that flips, just like the next one. Number 6, K-State, followed by number 7, Oklahoma State. This could be, it was supposed to be an epic battle when the season started. Now it's just a battle to stay alive in the race for the Big 12 title game. Number 8, Arizona State. Yes, you lost to Texas Tech, but you're much like UCF. I don't think you have the talent UCF does, but you are not afraid to unapologetically run the ball down people's throat and then make them make the adjustments. Texas Tech offensively is no joke. Baron Morton's a bad mamma jamma. So I think you're safe here at 8. Number 9, West Virginia. I can't believe I'm putting them up here. I debated on even putting them up here, but they did do the job, and they did it somewhat convincingly. So West Virginia. Taco Reckham Tech gets themselves a W. Again, I'm a big believer in Baron Morton. That defense is absolutely atrocious, but we know sometimes offense is all you need to win ball games. Maybe not championships, but ball games. TCU. I really, really wanted to put them at 16th for losing to SMU. It's embarrassing, but you're going to have a chance to rebound. Colorado. I wanted to make fun of them for rushing the field for beating Baylor, but after watching the highlights, the way it went down, how it even got to overtime, and then it being late night, I kind of get it. I still think it's completely childish for Colorado to rush the field over beating Baylor, but it is what it is. Colorado here's at 12. Cincinnati, they took Houston behind the woodshed and taught them a thing or two. So I've got the Cincinnati Bearcats here, followed by the Kansas Jayhawks. That pick is looking rough for me. 15, Baylor, 16, Houston. They say everything's bigger in Texas. Apparently being bad sometimes can also be bigger in Texas as well, because they're bringing up the rear down there at the end, just like we are now bringing up the rear of this show. As always, you know I love you. God bless. Go Pokes. Thank you for making it listen here in Locked On State. Tomorrow we hone in on Kansas State versus the Cowboys. Like if you like the daggone hang, dislike if you don't, that's okay too. More importantly, share, comment, and subscribe. My podcast people out there, you're the bricks, the butter, the bread, the foundation, the fondue, the sticky stuff. You know what it is, and you know what to do. Hit the stars, leave a review. That is all. Later, my taters.